Hi everyone, welcome back to Knife Knife. So this little guy is a relative of broccoli, cabbage, Brussels sprouts. It's from that family. It's really popular in German cooking, and yeah, it's sort of becoming kind of a thing in the US. It's popping up in a lot of restaurants. A lot of people use it as a substitute for potato. So it roasts really nicely, and it's just an option that gives you less starch in your diet if that's something that you're wanting to eliminate. One of the reasons I thought it'd be really important to have this on the series is because when prepping it, there's a mistake that people can make. And so I thought it'd be good to go over that and give you that information. So if you do decide to buy it, you don't miss that step and end up disliking it. Another thing about this plant is the leaves are edible and the stems are edible, so the whole thing you can eat. And that's pretty much it. Let's get started. First thing I did was set my oven to 450 degrees. So we will be roasting our kohlrabi at 450 for 30 minutes. I'm going to cut off the tops. And unlike how I normally throw this kind of stuff in a trash bowl, I'm actually going to save these and I will use them for a slaw later or something, because you can eat kohlrabi raw. It doesn't have to be cooked. So next I'm going to cut off the other side of the kohlrabi. And this I am going to throw into my trash bowl. I don't need this part that was clearly connected to the root. Next, I'm going to take my peeler and I'm going to peel all this outer layer off. You just start at the top, work your way down. Very easy. And as you can see, it kind of peels off on its own a little bit. There's this area where it's kind of almost a ring, and we want to get all of this off because this outer part's going to be really tough and it's going to make the kohlrabi unpleasant to eat. I just want to get it to where it's a bit more smooth and you can just really feel a difference in texture. And see how like right here it's still really green? I'm just going to go back, I'm going to get that off. Just get rid of it. If there's any green at all, you want it to be really pale. All of my kohlrabi are now peeled, and I did the double peel on all of them, so there shouldn't be any toughness around the edges when I'm done cooking them. So next I want to do is I just want to get them cut up. And I'm just going to like cube them up-ish into smallish kind of chopped pieces. So what I want to do is I want to get them all relatively the same size. That way when they're roasting in the oven, I don't have to worry about some cooking faster than others. So before we put the kohlrabi in, we're going to season it. So some ingredients I have here are chili powder, got some curry powder, some smoked paprika, and obviously I've got my salt. I got my trusty salt. So I only have a little bit of smoked paprika left. Hopefully I have enough. So I have almost a half a teaspoon, but you want a half a teaspoon. And I'm going to do a half a teaspoon of chili powder as well. And then the curry powder, because it's like so flavorful, I'm going to do 1/8 of a teaspoon, so half of a quarter teaspoon. I'm just going to mix all this together. So when you're doing your spices, if you mix all your spices together in a bowl before you put it on your vegetables, it'll blend more evenly and you'll get an even flavor over your kohlrabi versus, you know, having it sprinkled on here and there, and then one piece tastes more like curry, one piece tastes more like paprika. I taste my spice mix before I put it on to make sure I have everything where I want it to be. Maybe I end up wanting more curry powder. And I actually am going to want more curry. So I'm going to do the full 1/4 teaspoon. Next, we're going to add our oil. I'm just using a teaspoon and I'm using it to just drizzle over. The oil doesn't have to be exactly measured. I just like to control the amount that I'm putting over the vegetables. If I just free pour it, you can end up pouring too much oil out and then you gotta like move your vegetables into another bowl and you've got all this extra oil that you've just wasted. What I want to do is I want to toss the kohlrabi in the oil before I add any seasoning. So what that'll do is it'll evenly coat the kohlrabi in the sticky substance, so the oil, and that way when I'm putting the spices over it, it'll stick more evenly. I'm going to add my salt first. I'm going to give myself a generous pinch, and I will sprinkle from above. Same with my spices. I'm going to sprinkle them down from high above, and toss on everything. And really get in there. Make sure you're tossing like pretty heavily. That way everything is just evenly coated. All right, now we've got these lovely, wonderfully seasoned kohlrabi. Now we're gonna stick it in the oven, set a timer. And we want to make sure we're putting this onto the middle rack. That way the heat is evenly distributed. Done with that. And it's so important to set a timer. I'm setting for 10 minutes because at 10 minutes, I'm going to toss the kohlrabi and then set it for another 10 minutes. Our first timer has gone off. I can really smell our seasoning. I can feel the kohlrabi. It's gotten softer. Now what we really want is to get crispy on the outside. We're gonna put it back into the oven and then we're gonna set for 20 minutes. And by then our kohlrabi should be done. All right, so now we'll make a sauce. So what we're gonna need for this is some mayonnaise. We're gonna need some honey. We're gonna want some vinegar and we'll want a lemon. We're also gonna need some pepper. First thing we wanna do is 2 tablespoons and 1 teaspoon of mayonnaise. Now mayonnaise is a base for a lot of dipping sauces, a lot of aiolis and stuff that you get with French fries, and that's essentially what we're doing here. We're not making technically an aioli because an aioli has garlic in it, and we won't be using garlic, but mayonnaise is something that kind of grosses people out a little bit. But if you've ever had a dipping sauce for, you know, potatoes or French fries that isn't ketchup, it most definitely had mayonnaise in it. Now we're gonna do a tablespoon of honey. And this honey is gonna counterbalance the savoriness of all the spices that we have on the kohlrabi already. Now I want a 1/4 teaspoon of rice vinegar. This will add a little bit more sweetness, just like a different kind of sweetness, and also some sourness to go along. Then we'll just squeeze. We'll want a 1/4 teaspoon of lemon juice. The lemon juice adds a bit more sourness, but it also adds like a bright, fresh flavor that will just sort of cut through everything else and make it really palatable and nice. And then last is we want 2 pinches of pepper. I'm gonna just take a fork, mix everything together. Make sure to really mix thoroughly. We don't want any lumps because that would be gross. This is reminiscent of like the kind of sauce you would see on a slaw. Yummy taste. That pepper is so good. Wonderful flavor. Love, 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 love. We'll just set that aside. Stop that. We're gonna cancel our heat. Cancel it. We're gonna pull out our crispy little bits and we'll get plating. All right, here we are, our crispy little kohlrabi bits, all nice and ready. Oh my God. So good. Everything is working together. We're just gonna add a little bit. Just right over the top. Oh shit. So the chili powder with the smoked paprika give it this kind of like Tex-Mex kind of like feel to it. And then you have this underlying curry. And it's so savory and rich. And then you have this dipping sauce that's just bright. And bam, it's there. Roasted kohlrabi with spices and a lovely sweet and peppery dipping sauce. Please follow me on Instagram. I'm going to have my handle down in the description. I would love to see y'all make this. If you cut it differently, if you add different spices. Again, on this channel, I try to keep it really simple for those of you out there who have no experience cooking. But I would love to see what you're making. That would be super fun. Every Sunday at 1 p.m. on my Instagram Live, I do a cook along. Earlier in the week, I will put out a list of ingredients of what it is that I'm going to be cooking so that you can purchase those ingredients and cook along with me. It's usually basic stuff, so I do like my favorite sandwiches and my favorite breakfast foods. It's good hanging with y'all. I'm going to go take pictures of this and I'm going to go eat the crap out of it because it's freaking delicious. Thank you, and I'll see you next episode.